Hey guys, it's Jay here. I'm here to talk to you about what it feels like to get COVID-19, especially if you've already had pre-existing conditions like asthma, like I had since I was a child. So COVID-19, as you probably already know, it's a virus that targets the respiratory system. And asthma is a lung condition that causes swelling of the breathing tubes and results in breathing problems as well. So the two of them together can be a bit of a double whammy, and certainly something I was extremely kind of concerned and nervous about. We've all seen the shocking photos of the packed hospital wards, the ventilators, and let's be honest, it does freak you out a little bit. At the moment, especially here in London, we have record high cases each day, and everything that goes along with that as well. So I trawl through the web and couldn't find many videos specific to COVID and asthma. So I'm sharing my experiences of how I got through everything. Right, to start off with, I'm not a medical professional. In fact, I'm in finance. And what I'm saying is anecdotal and work for me, but do definitely follow, guidance from the professionals if you suffer from any of this stuff. Um, just to set the scene, a bit about me. I'm in the high risk category for a number of reasons. I'm Asian, male. I have had asthma since childhood and I'm on steroid inhalers, both for relief and prevention. I have a Ventolin inhaler, which is kind of similar to salbutamol, and also QVAR. If there's a bit of dust, cold, hay fever, I generally get wheezy. But on the sort of positive side, I'm generally quite healthy. My weight is good. I'm mid 40s. I'm around 12 stone for a 6 foot tall person, and I try and do my 10,000 steps a day anyway. Plus, I had my flu jab a couple of months ago as well. So I guess before I get into the detail, let me take you through the kind of list of tools and armory that I had at my disposal. I had one of these ear thermometers that you just put in and out, so it's quite easy to take your temperature. I had an oxygen meter machine as well, where you put your finger in, and it tells you in a couple of seconds how much oxygen is traveling through you. They cost about £20, but very useful. I also have a smartwatch, which is very useful for tracking your pulse, the hours you sleep, number of steps you do. Other things I had were sort of herbal powders, which I'll talk about in a minute, vitamin D. I also have this lung expander, which I haven't used past couple of months, but I had used kind of 6 months ago. And what it does is it forces you to it's like blowing into a balloon. It forces you to kind of use your lungs and expand them and sort of strengthen them. So that was my kind of armory, but I thought I just wanted to sort of explain, all the things that I had. Right, so what happened with me was soon after Christmas, I started showing symptoms. On day one, I kind of suddenly dozed off a couple of times at the dining table in the evening after eating. It sounds funny and, just after Christmas, so I didn't really think anything of it. Maybe I'd just eaten too much. Anyway, what was even more odd was later that night I slept over 10 hours, which is very unusual for me because I normally sleep around 6 hours. But saying that, I woke up, I felt good, I had no temperature or breathing issues, so that was fine. On day two, my leg muscles started to hurt, the top of my legs all the way down. This lasted pretty much the whole day. I took my temperature in the evening and it was around 36 degrees, which was a little bit on the lower end, but fine. On day three, I didn't sleep that well. When I woke up after around 4 hours, my head was feeling heavy and all my muscles were still hurting. This is when alarm bells rang. I sort of took my temperature straight away. It was 38 and a half. So I took paracetamol straight away, one 500 milligram tablet every sort of couple of hours rather than one 1,000 milligrams every 4 hours. I went fairly sharpish to the NHS test website, went through some yes/no questions, got given a slot luckily the same day to get tested, and so I went and got tested. And by the way, the test process was fairly straightforward. You kind of roll up in the car, they throw a kit bag into your car with instructions. You basically park up, take a swab of your tonsil, and then about 1 inch up your nose, and then put it into a test tube, seal it, bag it, drop it into a box, and then you get told to expect the result in a couple of days. The rest of the day, I carried on with paracetamol, drinking lots of fluids, and and trying to eat healthy. On day 4, I slept okay. I still had a temperature of around 37.5, so not too bad when I got up. So I was still on paracetamol. I still had body pains. But what I did notice was I started to become a little bit more wheezy, but nothing major. I started taking Ventolin as I needed around 3 times during the day. I did have a slight headache, but it didn't last that long. The other thing I started taking on day 4, which was a bit unconventional, was a couple of herbs. One was called Andrographis paniculta, and the other is called neem powder. I've been taking these daily, since day 4. My uncle, who's quite knowledgeable on all these things, he's used it for other COVID patients, and successfully. Thankfully he dropped some off for me. So big shout out to my uncle for doing that. And by the way, these powders are basically, they turbo boost your immune system. They reduce fevers and target clearing your respiratory systems as well. You can do a ton of reading on them. They're used all over Asia, including India, China, Thailand, and even parts of Europe. Day 5, this was when my chest started feeling a bit tighter, like someone was tying a belt around it slowly. Coincidentally, this was the day I got my test result, which showed positive. Breathing was still a bit wheezy, and I kept kind of taking my Ventolin. My temperature was still normal, and at this point I started monitoring my oxygen levels as well, which were still fine. They were 98%. On day 6, this was a bit of an odd one. I woke up at night in cold sweats and extreme shivering. However, I did manage to sort of wrap up, take a paracetamol, went back to sleep. During the day, my body was aching a bit more, my kidneys were hurting a bit more, my chest felt a bit more tighter, and I did notice my oxygen levels had dropped to around 95, 96% a couple of times during the day. I noticed my cough was being a bit more productive as well in the evening, so a bit more sort of phlegm, if you like. Day 7, this was a bit of a turning point on the positive side. I slept okay, and this was the first day where my chest started to feel a little less tighter, like that belt was kind of loosening. And boy, oh boy, was I glad to feel that. So on day 8 was again another turning point, this time the other way. I had a couple of episodes of runny nose and sneezing. It wasn't consistent throughout the whole day, but it felt a bit like a clear out. Unfortunately, after blowing my nose, I did lose all sense of my taste and smell as well. It's just like a switch went off. I tried a few experiments, eating green chilies and smelling menthol, but it definitely had gone. So day 9 and 11, things stabilized. Repeatedly, I was getting this dry cough, occasionally productive. I was still taking paracetamols. I found my cough had reduced. The warmer I'd kept my chest. So you can obviously do this using a hot water bottle or adding more layers, or even get one of those fancy USB kind of battery operated vests that keep you warm. On day 12, I stopped taking paracetamols. I still had the cough, and I switched over to my Qvar, just to see if that helped. I think it did. I think my cough did reduce a little bit after taking that. On that day, I also tried the burnt orange technique with sugar to see if that helps my taste. I did see a post around that, but it didn't work. Day 13 and 14, the only symptoms I have was a cough. The taste and smell are recovering gradually and slightly, getting, I think, marginally better each day. I'm planning to take another test in about a week, and hopefully will come back negative. So before I summarize the key lessons that I kind of learned and want to share, I want to cover one thing real quick. COVID-19, actually gets into your system and incubates quietly, between 2 to 14 days before you start showing any symptoms. So during the incubation time, you can infect other people without even knowing. So, most likely I would have picked up the COVID virus kind of 2 weeks before Christmas, according to my calculations. Okay, so finally, the key lessons I've learned, right? So lesson 1, it was okay to take asthma medication with COVID-19. I took Ventolin and Qvar. They tackle any symptoms for asthma, such as breathlessness, coughing, chest tightness. Lesson 2, paracetamol is like my best friend. I had it 4 times a day, for a number of days. Lesson 3, the Andrographis herb and neem, I think it did wonders for me. Lesson 4, Drink plenty of warm fluids, adding things like lemon juice, which provide kind of vitamin C boosts, boost your immune system. Also ginger as well, fresh ginger. It's a powerful antioxidant and helps break down the mucus. Lesson 5, ventilation. Keep your windows open. The theory I had was fresh air will come in and blow out hopefully the germified air. Lesson 6, diet. Try and have simple foods, chickpeas, lentils, snack on dry nuts. Lesson 7, keep active, keep walking through the house. I kept walking, I kept taking deep breaths, forcing coughs, getting my lungs moving. I tried to resist sitting back like this on my lungs because I didn't want to put additional pressure onto them. Likewise, when you're sleeping, try and sleep on your side or on your front so that your back is facing the ceiling. Can be tricky. There's all sorts of cushions that you can buy to help you, not roll onto your back. I think lesson 9, vitamin D, right? So I take a booster every day, especially since there's not a whole lot of sun in the UK over the winter. So those are my lessons. Finally, I really kind of hope this has kind of helped take some fear away. I'm not a medical professional, but just an asthma patient that found a way that worked, for me. Click like below if you found this useful. If I get enough, I'll kind of probably make another video, probably around the benefits of the some of the herbs that I took, or the impact on the family, how we coped as a family. So look, good luck everyone, and stay safe.